They want to make sure they suppress others from voting.
Every election, a nation makes a choice. Every vote carries a voice. Every polling unit tells a story. But democracy does not belong to Nigerians. It does not belong to government. It belongs to the people. It belongs to the teacher, it belongs to the trader, it belongs to the student, the farmer, the artisan, the ordinary citizen. Together, the guardians of democracy. Now, across more than 176,000 polling units, a new movement is emerging. A movement built on truth, built on transparency, built on accountability, built on peaceful citizen participation. It is not violence, it is not intimidation, it is not division, but verification, documentation, participation, and most importantly, trust. Now imagine every polling unit protected by informed citizen. Imagine every result independently verified. Imagine a stronger democracy. Imagine a better Nigeria. Protecting democracy, verifying results, empowering citizens. This is Active Citizens Award 2027, because every vote must count. Nigerians, and welcome once again to the Active Citizens Hero series, where we ask difficult questions about democracy, elections, and the role of ordinary citizens in nation building. My name is Ifeoma Orji. Tonight's conversation may be one of the most important discussions we have had since we started this series. Now, since the 2023 general elections, millions of Nigerians have continued to ask questions. If my polling unit result was different from what was eventually announced, what can I do? If Inec fails to upload results, what happens? If there are irregularities, are citizens completely powerless? Now, can ordinary Nigerians independently document election results and use them as evidence? And just yesterday, another controversy emerged on social media. Many Nigerians were alarmed by reports alleging that Inec is issuing what some people call a death warrant declaration document to citizens. Now, registered citizens registering for their permanent voter cards. Now, whether those reports are accurate, misunderstood, or deliberately misrepresented, one thing is certainly clear. Many Nigerians are discouraged, many are afraid, many are losing confidence in the democratic process. And some people are even asking, why should I register for a PVC if my vote may not count? Why should I participate if institutions fail? Why should I sacrifice my time if democracy has already been decided somewhere else? But tonight we want to ask even bigger question, a question that goes to the heart of our democracy. Now, if Inec fails, are ordinary citizens' polling unit results admissible in court? Can ordinary Nigerians independently document what happened at their polling units? Can citizens become custodians of democratic evidence? Can Nigerians protect democracy without depending entirely?
To live in Nigeria, and in
or are we completely helpless once we leave the polling unit? These are difficult questions, but they are questions every Nigerian must ask before the 2027 general election. Now, joining me once again in the studio is the analyst and advocate of the Active Citizens Hero series, Mr. Chidi Lucky Kanu. Good evening, sir. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Good evening, Ifeoma and Nigerians.
Yes.
Welcome to the Active Citizens Hero series on Active Citizens TV. Thank you for having me.
All right, let me go straight to the point now. Millions of Nigerians believe that once INEC fails to upload the results properly, or once results become disputed, ordinary citizens become powerless. Some even believe that only INEC documents matter and that whatever citizens record is completely useless. So let me ask you the question millions of Nigerians want answered tonight. If INEC fails, are ordinary citizens polling units results admissible in court, Mr. Kalu?
Thank you, Ifeoma. This is a very important question, especially coming at this time when people are registering for PVC. Because what Nigerians are really asking is this: do citizens have any power after voting? Is the question. My answer is simple. Citizens are not powerless. However, we must be very careful. I am not saying that citizens can declare election results or replace Inec. That is not the law. But I'm saying something equally important here today, so that people who will take me up on this, is that court examines evidence, and evidence can come in many forms. It can come in form of documents, photographs, videos, electronic records, and witness testimony. Polling unit records, contemporaneous documentation at the polling unit. The issue is credibility, authenticity, and admissibility under the law. So if citizens independently document what happened at their polling units and preserve evidence properly, such records can become extremely important in establishing facts and supporting legal arguments in court. The problem in Nigeria is that citizens often preserve nothing, and when you preserve nothing, you prove nothing. So, Ifeoma, let me just say this clearly. The question is more of an intelligent, intellectual one that has to deal with the court processes. What the court deals with in the court level is not just the applicable election, that is the Electoral Act. It goes towards the Evidence Act. The Evidence Act even permits you to use evidence by a third party. You understand me? So it's purely on Evidence Act when you get to the court level. So some people might argue that if the result is not coming from INEC, then it is not authentic. But it is for INEC to prove that the result they have is authentic, and it is also for the citizens who obviously is not going to be in court except he's presenting it to either a presidential candidate or, let me just say, a candidate who is standing in for a disputed result in question. So the person who is contesting the disputed result from the INEC presents what the Nigerian people has gotten from their different polling units, which is from EC8As, the documented evidence coming from the beavers, information details, the accreditation details, everything that comes from the polling unit. Surely, absolutely, the court must look into the Evidence Act and whether that very evidence is admissible. At this very point, I believe it is admissible.
Well said, Mr. Kanu, but more questions on this now. Many Nigerians are frustrated. Many people are saying that they voted, they stayed at their polling units, but what they saw happened left them, helpless. And I would love to know, why do you think that it rendered them helpless?
Because it's very simple, Ifeoma, because most Nigerians misunderstand where their greatest democratic power lies, and that is what we're educating every day here. The greatest democratic power that the citizens have is not in Abuja, and it is certainly not at the National Assembly level. It is also not on social media that we all go in. It is also not in television studios that we're always going to see, let's get the information there. Our greatest democratic power is at our polling units. That is where votes are cast, that is where votes are counted, and that is where results are announced. That is where Form EC8A is completed at the polling unit level. That is where citizens see what actually happened. That is the first courtroom. I'm talking about the first courtroom of democracy. That is the polling unit. Unfortunately, Ifeoma, after voting, many citizens abandon their polling units. They go home, they complain online, they blame politicians, they blame INEC, they blame the courts, but they fail to document, they fail to preserve the evidence at their polling unit, they fail to organize themselves, they fail to create citizen accountability structures that will work, and that is why many feel powerless. So it is very, very obvious. We often just go to the polling unit and we leave, and we think that something different is going to happen. No. And that's why we are always talking about having not just everybody going away, but having dedicated people working as a team, organized a minimum of 20 at the polling unit that will represent Nigerians on each polling unit.
Right.
Those people are the people you often call the heroes of Nigeria come 2027.
All right. So are you saying now that the Nigerian people should not depend entirely on Inec?
I am saying, Ifeoma, I'm choosing my words very carefully here because Inec is the legal entity that delivers results. So I'm saying democracy should never depend entirely on institutional memory. That's what I'm saying here. So INEC will declare their results, but citizens also have their rights. So democracy also requires citizens' memory, not just the institutional memory. If 20 responsible citizens independently document what happened at their polling unit, take photographs, take videos, record incidents, capture timestamps, preserve announced results, keep copies of documents, then those citizens become custodians of democratic evidence. One person may forget, one person may be intimidated at the polling unit level, one person may also lose a document, but 20 people certainly acting together, becoming a living archive of democratic truth. And that is exactly why we are proposing the polling unit 20 heroes, one strong democracy for Nigerians.
You know, you keep on saying 20. I remember when we started this series, you mentioned 20 heroes per polling unit, and I just want to ask more questions on this, number of people representing Nigeria in different polling units. Why 20 people?
Why 20? Why not one and the rest? Because Ifeoma, democracy was never designed for lonely citizens. It's not designed. What we have been operating under are lonely citizens. We go there, cast the vote, and walk away. And yesterday I was telling you that when you have a group, if a group of people buys a goat and then puts the goat so that they will be fed, if they did not organize themselves on who is going to do the feeding of the goat, that goat is going to go hungry, whether it is even a chicken. I'm just saying, I'm giving an analogy of if everybody owns everything and nobody is organized to handle certain things, then they are going to lose that thing, because evidently even the goat might go missing, the cow, whatever they own as a public might go missing. So no active citizen should ever stand alone at the polling unit. 20 citizens, one polling unit. The youth unit becomes a peace team, Ifeoma, a documentation team, a voter education team, an evidence preservation team, an accountability team, a resilience team. And if intimidation arises, Nigerians, they stand together. If misinformation arises, they stand together. If disputes arise, they stand together. If political pressure arises, as we know they would, they stand together. 20 citizens becomes a democratic community, and because they are local residents and registered voters within that polling unit, they possess something politicians do not have as a group. Now, what do they possess? They possess ownership, Nigerians. They possess relationships, community legitimacy, a shared future in that their community. That is the solution that I am proffering right now, Ifeoma. But let me also inform you very clearly that Nigerians need to start taking this seriously. Depending on one person, that everything will go on well. I don't have a problem with the politicians who are already used to selling, making people to buy vote, because obviously the law seems to be protecting them. And the people who are actually taking the money may not bring, because they have been put in urgent poverty. So most often, I'm not excusing them for taking the money, but I'm only saying poverty also breeds this kind of misbehavior at the polling unit level. So everybody who comes are looking at the money. But then, if even when one collects money and still votes what he wants to vote, let the accurate count of what happened at the voting unit, let it be preserved by the people. Let the overvoting or let the vote buying that happened at the polling unit, let it be reported by the people who are the heroes at the polling unit. Let it just be documented. So at the end of the day, if INEC did not come with this information, which obviously they are not going to come to court with it, if the candidate who has won the election, who is going to court to challenge INEC, assuming a different result is declared from what the citizens has declared, then the person has an evidence that will go to court and face the Evidence Act.
Well, all right, Mr. Kalu. Now, let's come to a recent social media controversy. Now, many people have been sharing reports that INEC is issuing what they call a death warrant declaration document during PVC registration. It was part of the stories that we took for, this morning. And a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are discouraged. What do you think that Nigerians should do?
What should Nigerians do? First, citizens should always verify information before spreading fear. A death warrant information declaration form coming from INEC might be a form that usually INEC give to people to fill for the deceased. What I can only say before I get to answer your question is that INEC shouldn't in the first place bring out this very form or mistakenly issue it to a Nigerian, because most Nigerians who are coming right now are coming to do a PVC registration and also a collection of their PVCs for those people who previously registered. So at this very point, having a mistake, that is what I call it, of issuing a death warrant. And by the way, no Nigerian will go to an INEC office to declare that their father or their brother or their sister have been deceased. No Nigerian have that very time.
But some people have filled the form though.
Well, filling the form is what I'm saying, that there might be a mistake of some sort. We need clarification coming from INEC. But second, if people have concerns about institutions, the answer cannot be to abandon democracy. No PVC registration means no vote. It also means no voice. You don't have a voice. And it also means that you don't have a representation. So if citizens withdraw from participation, like you say, they are afraid, they surrender their power to the politicians. The answer to distrust is not withdrawal from the process. The answer is a greater participation. When you see such a thing coming out from INEC or mistakes happening, you see people should even come out to be more, not to be in fear, and the voter apathy happens. So the answer is actually organization. Let us be organized. The answer is documentation, and the answer is accountability. The answer is active citizenship. Every one of us should own active participation in everything we do. If Ifeoma, this very information INEC comes out to clarify whether it's a mistake is being issuing a death warrant certificate, then obviously I might be correct that it's a mistake. Now, if it is not a mistake, then it means they are issuing it for people who come to the polling unit to see if their deceased, their people have become deceased. But I mean, I will guarantee you that 90% of Nigerians are not interested about their lost ones, because most of them died of hunger, most of them died of starvation, and they are very angry with the government, not necessarily to go and start giving information. How many people, Nigerians, even get death certificates from the hospitals, as the case might be? So I will go with the belief that there is a mistake somewhere, and INEC should clarify those things.
Exactly.
I will also end up by encouraging Nigerians that when they are queuing, I see that very video you're talking about, and so many people were queuing and they are complaining about that. INEC should properly, at this very point in time, until July, which is next month, to make sure that they have dedicated desks, not just at their own station, but also extend to local governments, not necessarily INEC state offices, as the case might be, just like when they are doing things at schools and at primary health centers, as the case might be. So I'm encouraging Nigerians that it is possible, very, very possible, for their evidence to be admitted in the court of law in Nigeria. Whether it goes to a platform that Nigerians hold as a citizen-led platform where they will communicate all these informations. And I believe that there are senior advocates of Nigeria who will agree, even pro bono, to go to court with the candidate who Nigerians have seen has won the election. You understand me? So the point is this: we should get organized, Ifeoma. It is not just an individual thing. Some people might decide, oh, I am for the other candidate, and the other people are for the candidates. Should go and canvass for people to believe in their manifesto. You understand me?
Yes.
Peter Obi has his manifesto. Atiku should have his manifesto, and I believe Tinubu should not say it's my second term. This is for sure. I know. What is that? Emiloko is my turn. So this very second time, I believe it should not be Emiloko, except it's going to be Emilo. Is there Emilo? What is the two? What is two in Yoruba?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, what I'm just trying to explain here is that they are people who the Inecs have certified, their parties have certified them. I mean, they should go into the streets and make sure that Nigerians understand what they are preaching. You get my point? And but Nigerians on themselves should organize few who is telling them what they want to hear and who will take Nigeria to what they expect Nigeria to be, and obviously they will go for the person. So that's why I say this is a citizen-led movement, and what I keep saying every day and what I'm advocating for is a citizen-led group that will be at the polling unit. Like I said, Ifeoma, that is the first courtroom of Nigerians. That is where any Nigerian can talk and be responded by the Inec officials, by the security agents on the ground. That is a very broad courtroom for Nigerians, the polling unit. If they miss that very point, a repeat of 2023 will definitely happen
again. Nigerians, you've heard it from Mr. Chidi Lucky Kanu. He is telling you right now that your polling unit is your courtroom, and if you miss this opportunity, I mean, it's going to be Shege Banza twice or triple, you know, in 2027. Now, I would love to appreciate Mr. Chidi for, you know, your advocacy and the clamoring and literally everything, sensitizing the public on good governance. And now the question that everybody should be asking themselves today is no longer our politicians saving our democracy. Perhaps the question should be, can ordinary citizens become custodians of their own democracy? Now, if your polling unit belongs to you, if your vote belongs to you, if your democracy belongs to you, then perhaps protecting democratic evidence also belongs to you. And the future of Nigeria's democracy may depend not only on institutions, but also on citizens who are willing to participate, document, preserve, and remain engaged. Thank you so much, Mr. Chidi, for joining us once again tonight. And to you, our viewers, thank you for joining. If this is your first time, this Active Citizens Hero series right here on Evening Parliament and Active Citizens. My name is Ifeoma Orji, and this is Active Citizens Hero series. Until next time, remember, one polling unit, one hero. Remember, one polling unit, 20 heroes, one stronger democracy. Together we'll fight for a better governance. Till tomorrow comes, more updates will be coming your way. Goodbye for now.